Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's DinaKalmeta here, and for today's news, I'd like to start with this first report about President Trump and President Putin, as well as President Zelensky. It's being reported that President Trump and President Putin held a 2-hour phone call today in what the U.S. said was a push to get Russia to end its conflict with Ukraine. Both President Trump and Putin described the call in a positive light, with the Kremlin chief saying it was frank and useful, but it is not immediately clear what results were achieved. Trump took to social media to praise the call as having gone very well, and said that Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations towards a ceasefire and, more importantly, to end the war. He said that the conditions for that will be negotiated between the two parties, as it can only be because they know the details of a negotiation that nobody else could be aware of. Putin, in a statement after the call, also noted that a ceasefire with Ukraine is possible, but noted that Russia and Ukraine must find compromises that suit both parties. So as of right now, it looks like the call between Putin and Trump went well. He's interested in peace, and President Trump is definitely pushing for it. So since we're on the topic of peace, I mentioned to you guys just on Thursday that Saudi Arabia is pushing for a two-state solution with Israel and the Palestinians. Well, I got this report from Prophecy Recon, and here's what it says. Saudi Arabia and France, with support from the United Nations, will co-host an international conference next month. Now, I mentioned this as well, but here's a little bit more details. To lay out in detail and an enforceable roadmap for Palestinian statehood, completely bypassing Israel's involvement or approval. Scheduled to take place in New York in June, the conference is being billed as a historic diplomatic shift, moving beyond symbolic recognition of Palestinian statehood toward establishing concrete steps, timelines, and even sanctions to enforce compliance. French President Macron's recent pro-Palestinian statements have set the tone for this bold initiative, which includes formal sessions and roundtable discussions led by French and Saudi officials under UN sponsorship. Organizers have stated the purpose is to mark a point of no return, creating a framework for ending the occupation, quote unquote, and securing a permanent two-state solution. The conference will culminate in a binding action document that outlines definitive timelines and obligations, marking a significant break from past peace efforts that hinged on Israeli-Palestinian bilateral negotiations. Instead, this initiative is designed to proceed without Israel's participation or consent. It goes on further to state that the conference's stated goal is not to restart negotiations, but to implement the two-state solution definitively without waiting for further bilateral engagement and without requiring Palestinian peace commitment in advance. So a very, very interesting article here, and actually very prophetic. Now, I don't know how they're going to be able to go in there and try to take a portion of Israel's land without Israel's approval, because in order to create a two-state solution, that would mean separating East and West Jerusalem. They can go ahead and create a Palestinian state, but where is that state going to be? Originally, I believe it was East Jerusalem that the Palestinians wanted. So, why is this a problem? Many of you have asked, why do we need Israel's approval to do anything? Well, this is the thing. We don't need Israel's approval. We need God's approval. Why is it important that we not curse Israel in any of these negotiations? So I'm going to tell you why. Actually, I'm going to tell you what God said. It's really quite simple. In the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Lord had said unto Abraham, Get thee out of the country, and from thy kindred, and from thy country's house, unto a land that I will show you. So this is God speaking to Abraham. Verse 2. And I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing, which he's done. And he's created that great nation in 1948, which is Israel. Verse 3, and I will bless them that bless thee, and I will curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So, bottom line, you bless Israel, God says, I will bless you. You curse Israel, you will get cursed. Simple. So I like to kind of say it the way it is here. You bless Israel, you're going to get blessed. You curse Israel, you're going to get cursed. By them going in there trying to separate God's land, that's a curse. They're not blessing anybody. So this cannot be a good thing, you guys, if they're trying to take a portion of Israel's land. But the thing is, this is prophetic because eventually Israel will be separated. How do we know that? Well, we go right back to God's word. The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 2. And I will also gather all nations. Okay? That's all nations, you guys. He's not leaving anybody out, including the United States. When he says all nations, that's all nations. And will bring them down into the valley of Josaphat, and will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land. So we know that God is going to deal with all the nations that will part Israel's land. So this is eventually going to happen. So what does this all mean? Peace with Israel, two-state solution, all of these nations coming together for a peace agreement, aka the Abraham Accords. It means that prophecy is being fulfilled right before our eyes. It means that at this point, Jesus can come at any time. Nothing else needs to be fulfilled. And again, no, Trump is not the Antichrist, but there will be a man that will step up, that will confirm the covenant with Israel for 7 years with other nations. And we are literally watching this in real time right now. But it can't happen as of yet because the rapture hasn't happened and the Antichrist hasn't been revealed. So I digress, but there were some questions last week, so I just wanted to make that a little bit more clear for you. Okay, so what else is happening? What's going on with Iran? Well, Fox News is reporting that the Iranian president spoke over the weekend reiterating Iran's commitment to dialogue and a desire for a civilian nuclear program. The Iranian leader stated that we are not seeking war, we favor negotiation and dialogue, but we are not afraid of threats either, and we will in no way retreat from our legal rights. The United States and Iran have completed 4 rounds of indirect negotiations regarding Iran's nuclear program, though the public has received mixed messages on the path forward. While officials from Washington, D.C. and Iran have expressed optimism about the conversations, a number of technical details have yet to be discussed, including the specifics surrounding uranium enrichment and stockpile levels. Iran has insisted that they will continue to enrich uranium for civilian and research purposes, while the Trump administration is calling for all enrichment to end. Right now, Iran is enriching uranium up to 60% purity, well beyond the confines of the 2015 nuclear deal that President Trump withdrew from in 2018. So I guess right now we're at a standstill. We're just going to have to wait to see what happens with Iran in the United States. Okay, so let's talk about what's happening around the world. Utah is under siege from a rapidly spreading infestation of Mormon crickets, cannibalistic insects that have returned in massive swarms. In areas like Fillmore, residents have described the invasion as apocalyptic, with bugs covering roads, fences, walls, and even the sides of homes. Mormon crickets are large, flightless, cattled, shiny, reddish insects that can grow up to 2 inches long. They're native to the western U.S., especially in states like Montana, Oregon, Utah, Idaho, and Nevada. These crickets thrive in drought and warm weather, forming massive migrating swarms that can number in the millions. Farmers are already reporting early crop losses, and backyard gardens are being stripped overnight. In small towns, the air reeks of rotting insects. Officials are warning that the worst may be yet to come. Eggs that hatched in spring could lead to a second wave of crickets by summer. Okay, this is what we call pestilence. Susan and I just did a video last week, and I'm going to post that here on Wednesday to go over the prophecy of pestilence that Jesus spoke about in the book of Matthew, and that is exactly what this is here. Can you imagine the crunchy roads if you had to drive over those things? Maybe somebody from Utah is watching. Is it as bad as it looks? I want to hear from you. Let me know. And California is shaking again. California has experienced multiple earthquakes within minutes of each other, and some are warning of a major quake. The USGS detected 3 tremors ranging from a 2.5 to a 3.8 on Monday at 11 a.m. The seismic activity occurred 21 miles of Bakersfield, a city of over 400,000 residents and about 80 miles from LA. The epicenter, located in Grapevine, sits directly along the San Andreas Fault, which runs beneath Interstate 5. According to the USGS, major earthquakes occur in this area approximately once every 100 years, and they are due for the big one. So we need to keep an eye on those earthquakes over there. AccuWeather is reporting that 28 people have died and at least $9 billion in damages after a deadly storm tornadoes have swept across central eastern U.S. over the weekend. This is a very sad situation. There were more than 70 tornadoes, destructive hail, and powerful wind gusts that caused damage across the middle of the country. Additional impacts and damage are expected through late Tuesday night as the severe weather threat shifts east throughout the week. Large tornadoes have been reported in Missouri, Kentucky, Illinois, and Indiana, with hard-hit southeastern Kentucky reporting a majority of the fatalities. According to the Kentucky governor, there were at least 19 confirmed that have perished in the state connected to the severe storm, mostly in Laurel County. Our thoughts and our prayers are with those that are affected by the severe apocalyptic weather. In Chicago, an apocalyptic wall of dust blanketed the city after the severe storms ripped through the Midwest, leaving millions without power. The terrifying dust cloud descended onto the Chicago area as residents were choked and blinded by the 100-mile line of dust from southwest Chicago to northern Indiana. The rare event shocked forecasters and locals after a dust storm warning was issued by the National Weather Service for only the second time in history. Can you even imagine? I want to hear from those in the Chicago area and Indiana area. If you guys experienced this dust storm, leave us a comment below. The Daily Mail is reporting that experts are issuing an urgent warning over a 1,000-tall mega tsunami set to hit parts of the U.S. Is your hometown at risk? The sheer destructive force of a mega tsunami is almost beyond comprehension. Unlike regular tsunamis caused by earthquakes, mega tsunamis are often triggered by huge landslides or collapsing volcanoes. 3 regions in the U.S., Alaska, Hawaii, and the West Coast, face the threat of mega tsunamis due to their proximity to unstable volcanoes, landslide-prone areas, and earthquake zones. Today, one chilling possibility involves the Cumbre Viejo volcano on the Canary island of La Palma, which could collapse into the Atlantic and send a mega tsunami towards the U.S. East Coast. The research suggests that this wave could start at 2,000 feet high near the volcano and still reach up to 150 feet when it hits the Americas, threatening coastal cities. And then, of course, we have the one in Alaska, Hawaii, and the West Coast, with, of course, right here in my neck of the woods, a possible 9 on the Richter scale earthquake on the Cascadia subduction zone. So definitely something we want to keep our eyes on. We don't want to fear, but we do want to be prepared. A large wedge tornado struck Plena, Kansas on May 18th, causing significant damage to homes and infrastructure. The tornado crossed Highway 50 before weakening and left a trail of destruction, including flattening homes. And that happened just yesterday. Very sad situation. In the meantime, yesterday, a tornado damaged 17 structures near Bennett, Colorado. So this weekend was a very bad weekend for tornadoes. A very sad situation in Vietnam. At least 9 fatalities have been reported following flash floods and landslides triggered by prolonged heavy rainfall in Vietnam. This occurred on May 16th. Floods have destroyed over 300 homes. Severe flooding swept through southern Tunisia after 2 days of intense rainfall from May 14th to May 15th, displacing over 3,000 people and damaging critical infrastructure. Villages were submerged and crops were destroyed. This is definitely the days of Noah, just as Jesus prophesied. Again, torrential rain struck northern Buenos Aires in Argentina between May 16th and May 18th, forcing over 7,500 people to evacuate and leaving several others missing. The storms brought more than 16 inches of rainfall, flooding towns, closing major highways, and disrupting the regional soybean harvest. So because of these torrential rains and floods, crops are being destroyed, which could lead to the prophecy of famine that Jesus also mentioned. High-level eruption of a volcano occurred in Russia on May 16th, so just on Friday. The Kamchatka volcano response team indicated that the ash cloud reached an altitude of 28,000 feet above sea level and drifted 120 miles northeast. A severe hailstorm damaged over 30,000 acres of crops in the provinces of Valencia, with estimated losses of 7.6 million. Vineyards, almonds, citrus crops were heavily affected, and this occurred in Spain. Again, this could lead to famine. And what's happening in Southern California? Well, apparently it's bracing for summer-like temperatures this week, along with gusty winds that will trigger fire weather concerns. They're looking at triple digits in California, you guys. On Saturday, a strong earthquake registered by the USGS at a 6.0 slammed into central Peru at a depth of 57 miles. Just on Friday, strong winds and dense sound clouds struck Algeria, reducing visibility to near zero, halting traffic and forcing road closures. Are we experiencing a global dust storm? Because these two aren't the first in the last few months. We've seen more of these, and they're picking up. And what happened at Newark Airport today? The Federal Aviation Administration confirmed on Monday yet another system outage occurred at the facility handling flights in and out of Newark. The agency said that the Philadelphia control tower handling the air traffic lost radio frequencies for about 2 seconds at around 11:30 a.m. Despite the brief outages, all aircraft remained safely separated at the New Jersey airport, according to officials, and it remains under investigation. What is going on with our airports, you guys? So certainly a lot of headlines over the last few days. I will continue to keep you updated. But what can we expect for this week on CWW7 News Channel? On Wednesday, we're going to hear about pestilences with Susan Davis and I. And on Thursday, I'm going to bring you back some world news. I'm going to try my very best next week to bring you my own Bible prophecy update. So stay tuned for that. But that's what we have for Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Please do leave your comments below. I love hearing from you guys. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a breaking news report. And come and visit me on our social media pages as well as our website at www.cww7news.com. All right, everybody, have a great day. Stay safe and God bless.